Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be a little bit more of a serious video, just for the simple fact because I want to try to let other people know who is either going through the same thing that went through, or may have already went through something to that nature. And I just want to kind of like explain my life of what it was like growing up in foster care. Alright you guys, so excuse my annoying hairs right here. I don't know what's going on, but yeah. I just like yeah. Alright, so like I said, today is work day. I just got off, threw my hair up in a bun, and we're good to go. So growing up in foster care, so that has definitely taken a major toll on my life. A lot of things of how I look at things in the future, and has made me realize like how appreciative people who have never been taken out of their home are. Like, you don't understand, like, and a lot of you guys will probably be like, well, I've never been taken out of my home, but sometimes I wish I was never living here. And you guys, I'm telling you right now, appreciate your family, appreciate everything that you have going, because when I got taken away from my mother, I had just moved to Florida, so like Florida was not my vibe at all. I was probably like 13, I want to say, because we just moved to Florida, and what had happened is we ended up becoming homeless, and we were living in our car. Me and my mother were living in our car, and one night a cop came up and I don't remember what exactly like triggered him to pull us over, and we ended up getting pulled over, and the guy saw that we were living in our car. And at that age, I was like thinking to myself, how can somebody be so cruel and evil to where you would want to call HRS on somebody and like destroy a family, you know what I'm saying? But now that I'm older, I'm 32, you guys, I can see things a lot differently. And I could see where the guy was coming from. I could see that he wanted to see the best for the child until my mother could get on her feet to help and take care of me, because obviously we weren't living in a very good condition. And all I remember was, what happened was, okay, this is how it happened was, at first I ended up staying with my friend, and they kind of figured out that we were homeless, and my friend's mother at the time, she decided to be a wonderful person and open her doors to a person who didn't even belong to her. She decided to take on a responsibility of somebody who was not her child, and I will always respect her for that, because you know, there's a lot of people in this world that would not have ever done anything like that, and they would have just rather let me go back to the environment that I was in by living in a car, not showering, not eating, because we weren't eating at all. We were just eating whatever we could find, anything that was given to us. We would go to McDonald's when we could afford to. It's like, you guys, you have no idea what my past is. It's very rough. And like a lot of times I ask myself to this day, how am I such a positive person? Like, a lot of times I'm very happy. I like to make other people laugh, just for the simple fact because I know the struggle. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to feel lonely, like you have nobody there for you. I know all about that, and that's why I am the way that I am now. I'm not saying like every fucking day I am a positive person, because I have my days where I am pissed off at the world. I hate people. They don't even have to be doing anything to me, and I'm like, you know, just get out of my face. I say rude things to people that I don't need to be saying. but it's just because of my past. And I am a firm believer of how your past was is what makes you a person of who you are in the future. And when you have a rough childhood growing and all that stuff, you're going to be very like, I have walls built around me, dude. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I don't let people get near me. The minute I see that you're being fake to me, I push you away for the simple fact because I don't want to be hurt. That's just how I am, because I've seen and I have felt so much hurt through a lot of my years that it's just, I don't want to do it anymore. I'm tired of it and I'm over it. So my friend's mother took me in, and like I said, still to this day, I will thank this woman for that, because, you know, like I said, she did not have to do that. She could have just let me walk out that door and I still would have been homeless, trying to figure out what we were going to do next. So then, I stayed with them for probably like a year or two. And it is very weird, you guys, because you're coming into somebody else's home that you have absolutely no idea how these people are, how they're going to treat you, anything to that nature. And then you start feeling like extremely alone, because at that point it's like, I don't know these people. Are these people going to accept me? Can I accept them? It's just a lot of emotions go on that a lot of people don't realize what people go through when somebody is being fostered. And it's like, you just don't know what to do, because you just don't know what to do, because, and then you're living with people you don't know. And I'll get into that, because I was pushed around into different homes as it went on. And then you just start getting like all I wanted to do was hide from these people, because I was scared, because I was like, who are these people? What are they going to do? Are they going to treat me anything like how I was used to? Because when you're comfortable with your family, that's all you know. And then it's like you're yanked out of that environment and shoved into a completely different environment. So then it was like, and then they were trying to like get me to come out. And then finally, of course, you guys, I came out. I became accepting of them. They became accepting of me. They helped me on some problems of the way that they knew how to handle problems and all that stuff. And like I said, you guys, I will always thank this woman for that, because she never had to do that. I'm just saying. And then her husband ended up getting sick, and then she felt like it was time for me to go. And that's the lovely life of foster care, is you never know how stable you are in that home. At any given moment, that family could be like, I don't want this kid, anything to that nature. I've never been in a group home, thank God, because I've heard horror stories about group homes, or having to actually go live with like the state of where kids aren't even adopted out yet. I've never had to do that, and I'm glad that I never had to do that. And I do feel bad for people who do have to do that, or still are, because I've heard horror stories about that situation. So then I ended up going to a family that fostered a lot of foster kids. So then here we are back to step one. Not knowing who these people are. Are they going to accept me? Am I going to accept them? And then I had to listen to new rules, new lifestyle. And then that's what starts making foster kids want to rebel against these people, because it's like, you feel like you're not wanted, because at any given moment you could just be thrown out that door, or you can call your caseworker and they're there to pick you up and take you to the next house. So that's when the problem started with me, is I didn't like the rules of that house. I did not like anything that they were doing. I felt like they were being too strict. But then also, now that I'm older, I can see why they were doing things the way that they were, because they were trying to help just so many different personalities. Like, of different girls, and that was another thing. It was all girls in a house, and all girls in a house just do not equal positivity at all, because you have all the estrogen going. Yeah. And then girls were coming in and out of the house, and it's just like back to square one. Do I belong here? Do I really want to be here? How long is this gonna last? And all that stuff. So then I started having problems. I started rebelling against these people, because all I wanted to do was just go back home to my mother, of people that I knew I felt more comfortable around. I was getting sick and tired of being in foster care, and all I wanted to do was go back to my mom. So the only thing I thought that would get me closer to my mother was rebel, and all that did was get me kicked out of that house. And then I ended up with the Dennises, and they no longer foster care, but then I ended up with their family, and then it was like repeat cycle. How long am I going to be here? Are these people going to accept me? Well, at that point, you guys, I was over the whole foster care bullshit, that I ran away from that home more than once, and because I didn't want to be there. All I wanted was, like, when you're in foster care, you just, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, you know they're not your family. You know that at any given moment that you could just be kicked out of that door. A home is never promised. And you just don't feel wanted. Like, that's pretty much the main thing, is you don't feel wanted. And then I ended up, because at that point I was rebelling against everybody. I was running away from foster homes. And then finally my caseworker sat me down and was like, we need to get to an agreement here. And I'm like, you think? And then so finally it worked out to where I ended up having like visitations with my mother, and then it ended up where I could stay there, I believe. And then it was slowly progressing into me going back home with my mother. Then all I was caring about was going back home to my mother, because I didn't want to live with these families. Because it's not your home, it's not your family, you don't know these people from Adam. And so finally, at the age of 18, so from the age of 12 to 18, I was in foster care for most of my life. And I never saw my mother. And then, well, I saw my mom from like visitation rights and stuff like that, but from 12 to 18, I never really saw my mom. I wasn't allowed to live with my mother. So then, finally, about 18, I was able to go back home, because at that point, you are legal age, and DPS no longer can control where you go at that point. So I finally made it back home to my mother, and then I was extremely happy about that, because I was like so tired of foster care. I was tired of all that. So that is my foster care story. One other thing I do want to throw out there is, a lot of people don't understand in foster care is a lot of sexual abuse goes on, and I am thankful that I was not a victim of sexual abuse in foster care, because I know it goes on. And it sickens me, because it's like, you're certified to take care of these kids, but your husband is violating these kids. Why? Because they're not your kids. It doesn't matter. If they're not your kids, you don't need to be touching no kid. So I just want to say, if you are somebody out there who is in foster care and you do get violated, I want you guys to speak up, say something, and get that asshole thrown in jail, because he don't need to be touching you or anything to that nature. My thoughts on separation, DPS. Okay, this is my thoughts. Like, I feel like it's a okay program, but also at the same time it's not. And the pros of DPS is, yes, I understand that if you need to yank a kid out of a bad environment, like if the parents are crackheads. They have needles hanging out of their arm. You walk into their house and the kid is in a cage. Yes, yank that child out of that home because it doesn't need to be there. But if you just have somebody who is struggling, may need a little help from the state to that age, what is the point of taking a child out of the home? Because at that point, I feel like that's when DPS crosses a line of destroying families and homes. That's my opinion. You can agree or disagree, but yeah. I just feel like there's like pros and cons. And also another thing I don't like about DPS is if your caseworker is buddy-buddy with like the judge or anything to that nature, they can do shit to make it look like my mom's not trying to do anything or I'm trying to not do anything. I've seen that happen and it's sickening to the point it's like you're supposed to be there to try to help the family get up on their feet so the child can go back home, not try to destroy it. So that is another thing that I don't like about DPS and their system, because I just feel like, you know, a lot of people struggle doesn't mean that the kid needs to be removed from the home. So yeah, and you guys, like I said, I have had a very bad struggling past, and I just don't understand, like I said a lot of times, is how I am so strong today of just being like kind to people, because a lot of people who have struggling past are pretty like resentful towards people, they're angry towards people, and you don't need to be like that. Your past is your past. Keep it in the past and try to change your future. So that was kind of like my little motivation, I guess. And like I said, you guys, if you are someone who is in foster care service or you have been in foster care service, then you probably know what I'm talking about. If you are being abused, sexually abused, don't be scared to report it, because you don't need that type of stuff happening to you, because it's sickening. So yeah, you guys, I hope this was a little bit of a motivation. Also gave you guys a little bit more to get to know me, because I know you guys are probably like, who is this bitch? Girl, I'm trying to tell you, okay? Alright, you guys, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a big, huge thumbs up. I always upload every 3 days due to working purposes, and I'll see you soon in my next video. See you guys.